6:30 p.m. First off, the town of Smithers acknowledges the Gidimt'en clan and the Wet'suwet'en people on whose unceded traditional territory we live, work, and play. Next up is the webcasting of the meeting. The public is notified that the meeting is being recorded and webcast globally, a notice of which has been placed on the bulletin board outside the council chambers. Council, we have an agenda, and I do not believe there's any late items. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Riekma, Councillor Raven, all those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Sorry, my bad. No petitions or delegations tonight. So next up is the public comment period. Does anybody wish to speak to anything this evening? Mr. Nixon, come on up. Just your name and address for the record, please.
Kevin Nixon, 1253 Antler Road, Smithers, BC. And just have a few short words. Thank you again for the opportunity to address the mayor and council. As you most likely have read the staff report regarding our case, we have found an amicable solution for us to move forward with our hopes in operating a short-term rental in both of our suites. As you know, the rear suite application is moving forward and will be addressed again in a second public meeting on May 6th, and hopefully there will be no issues arising from that. We have met with town staff and have now applied for a temporary use permit for our front suite, which, if approved, would allow us to run a short-term rental for a period of 3 years. We feel that this is a good way to move forward and will give both us and the town of Smithers more insight on the best use of this property. We have reviewed the details outlined in the staff report and agreed to its accuracy, and as such, hope that our application will move forward smoothly. And I just want to thank everybody for their time and attention to this matter.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on anything? All right, thank you for that. Next up, we have approval of the minutes from the April 8th regular meeting. Councillor Buchanan moves, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Next up, meetings from the April 10th special open meeting. Councillor Buchanan, Councillor Raven, any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Next up, minutes of the committee of the whole for April 9th. Councillor Raven, Councillor Buchanan. I just wanted to ask, I know that there was no quorum. Is it possible, because I had to recuse myself and so did Councillor Raven, it kind of, the way it reads, it looks like nobody, like it's been a long time since we haven't had quorum, and I just want to make it sure that there was a reason why we weren't able to be here. Is that all right to say?
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Perhaps what we can do is put these aside until staff have an opportunity to investigate that question. As there's the potential that we could acknowledge the conflict of interest that you've noted. However, unfortunately, as the meeting was never held, there was never the formal opportunity to declare those conflict of interests. Certainly, the challenge with quorum is an awkward one. Unfortunately, I don't believe there's any way that we could formally recognize that, though.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make that comment as the chair, really. I'm okay. I've said it tonight that we both had to recuse ourselves, so I think that'll be okay. Anybody else want to throw a wrench into things? Okay, seeing nobody, all those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. My apologies. Items to be released to the public, Mr. Schroeder.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Ray. I am pleased to share tonight that there were 3 appointments to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, that being Isabel Shernish, Ansia Schlemmert, and Rod Layton.
Thank you for that. All right, next up, we have council reports. Councillor Buikema.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ray. First of all, I'd like to move the minutes from the April 14th Finance meeting for adoption.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Raven. Any questions, errors, omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that carries unanimously.
Okay, then secondly, the Visitor Center report for March is there for your information, but I am open to questions if there are any.
Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ray, through to Councillor Buikema. I was just curious when it says the 2025 visitor origin that we were able to determine from March breaks down to 55 local residents. I was just curious if you knew if that was inquiries that were made by local residents on visitor information. And if that's something that we typically see, for example, in the month of March due to spring break, or do we know if that was specifically events that may have been hosted through the month of March at the Visitor Center?
Councillor Buikema.
I'm not sure I can answer that.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything further?
Yes. Yesterday, Mr. Dewar and I met with the chamber for an hour before our evening meeting. And on Saturday, I volunteered at the St. James Anglican Soup Kitchen. And I just want to thank the many people who volunteer there on a regular basis. Such an important service in our community. And I want to especially thank Ken and Vicky Alton, who are kind of the driving force behind that soup kitchen. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Councillor Buikema? All right, seeing none. Next up is Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Chair Ray. Nothing much to report. Didn't get to attend the library board meeting, but you can see the attached agenda from Wendy for the month of April. So peruse that at your leisure. Thank you.
Any questions on the library report? All right, seeing none. Next up, Councillor Leonard.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ray. So for folks, I just included in my report just a reminder with links to information on where they can find the North Central Local Government Association Mental Health and Addictions Accord, which we are signatories to. At the last strategy meeting, I have a question here that you can see under the strategy meeting summary for council's consideration in talking about potential agenda items for the next meeting, which is going to be in Prince George or Click Lake Territory on October 15th. So I've just put a suggestion there that I had brought forward to the group. So just wanted to plant that seed with this group, but also say that there's a open request for potential agenda items. One of the suggestions that I had made to the group is when we actually look at the accord itself, for example, under Action 1, it talks about identifying priorities or potential priorities. So I just thought that would be something that maybe we could workshop together. For example, we've seen a number of requests that have come through other regions across the North area in strategies to address mental health and addiction. So just seeing if there was an opportunity for us to collaborate on what that might look like. And then there's just a couple bullets there. Just for your information, there was a gentle reminder by NCLGA to say that resolutions are welcome at any time and their job is to support you in doing so. And the last bullet is there was a request that was made in asking municipalities to support the expansion of the provincial review on the Provincial Health Service Authority. I made a request back to NCLG asking them to forward on the original letter that went to the Ministry of Health. So once I get that, I will forward that to the group. And that's it. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Councillor Patterson? If you have any ideas afterwards, probably send them by email. All right, next up is Councillor Raven.
Apologies for not getting my written report in. Sorry, Mayor Attrill. I probably should have emailed it to you. I forgot you're going to be virtual today. I'm not going to read everything. The one thing I'm just going to highlight was the Earth Day Yoga that was actually hosted by the town of Smithers. And I just really appreciated the Recreation Department not only putting on this free event, but also making sure it was low barrier. They actually provided childcare, which I thought was a really neat touch where people will be able to come and just enjoy, because that's something that is forgotten about quite a bit. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, any questions for Councillor Raven? All right, Councillor Ray has nothing to report. Mayor Attrill.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Ray. My report is in there.
You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Still no.
I'm not muted, so
Mr. George that's definitely on. Hang on, we're looking at it from our end.
okay.
Can you try again, Mayor?
Hello? Hello, hello? Can you hear me?
You're good now. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, I was just saying that my report is in there. I'll just note the RBA meetings in Victoria, which felt very productive. It was good to touch base with those in government, and I wasn't a part of the meeting with the opposition caucus. I had to return, but as well, so those in government and the opposition caucus, just reminding people about the RBA and the importance of it and what it's accomplishing in our area already. So I think those were really good to have participated in, that the RBA steering committee was there. And just noting what everyone's been talking about all day as well, that we did have our election last night. And I just wanted to thank our outgoing MP, Taylor Bachrach, for his work over the years, and to offer congratulations to our new MP, Ellis Ross, who will be starting work. And that's it. Thank you.
Yes, I also want to thank former MP Bachrach. He put his heart and soul into it. And regardless of whether you agreed with what sometimes was being done, he did his best for the community, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. So my thanks to him as well. I also would be remiss if I didn't know that the Standing Committee on Strategic Priority list is there. If anybody has any questions for the mayor or any comments on that list. All right, seeing none. I don't see the Area A director or anybody from the Wet'suwet'en. So next up we have the 14-1, which is the Bulkley Valley Folk Music Society letter of support request. Councillor Raven moves, Councillor Beacom seconds, and that's to provide a letter of support. Any comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Next up, we have 14.2 from Ms. LeBlanc, recommending we approve the updated brand standards guide. I see Ms. LeBlanc here. Did you want to introduce it all?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ray. No further comments, but I am happy to answer any questions that anyone has about these updated brand guidelines.
Councillor Patterson, you're looking at me like you want to put your hand up.
Not at all. I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Any comments or questions? I just wanted to make a brief comment. I wasn't at the meeting where we discussed it, so I kind of kept my opinions to myself. But I did want to note with my thanks that we're still going to maintain the Alpine Owl logo, because I think like it or not, it was very distinct for our town. You could see it from anywhere, and that was our town. So I'm hoping the new logo does the same thing, but it's good to hold on to the option. So thank you. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, next up, we have a report from Mr. Shibley, 14.3, recommending we award the Carnaby Street water looping to Terrace Construction. Councillor Raven moves, Councillor Elliott seconds. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried unanimously. Great. Next up, we have a report from Ms. Chandran, who is here tonight. Any questions? It's for information, but any questions from Ms. Chandran? I actually just have one, and in there, in the report, it does say that you recommend a second public hearing is held. Do you need a motion for that? Does Stephanie need a motion for that, or is that just going to happen? Okay, all right. Councillor Raven.
So I just have a question about the temporary use permit, because I know that it's for up to 3 years. So is there a reason why we chose 3 years rather than 1 year or 2 years?
So thank you to Councillor Raven through Acting Mayor Ray. So the 3-year TUP request is from the applicant side. Staff haven't started working on a staff report on that yet. When it will be reviewed in detail, we will come up with a recommendation, whether it is for the maximum period is 3 years. It may be it may be just for 2 years, or sometimes it can be as low as 1 year. In some cases, we have council has modified staff recommendation based on the information and appropriateness of the decision. So in this case, staff can support a 3-year request because that gives ample time for the town to analyze the potential implications of permitting STR as a principal use. So it's a reasonable time. Thank you.
No, that clarification was helpful, just because when we had our public comment period earlier, they had stated 3 years. So I was just looking at the timeline.
Thank you, Mayor Attrell.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge the amount of effort that's gone into this, and to thank staff for doing it on top of a year or better of sorting out what this meant, the change in housing regulations and the SDRs, and now finding our way through it when it lives on the ground. So to Ms. Chandran, who commented on the 3-year TUP, I think there is some wisdom in giving us some time to figure things out. So we'll see when it comes back to council, but thanks to all of you for your work on finding a way through things, and just appreciate that effort. So thanks.
Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you.
Hey, anybody else? All right, next we'll move on to bylaws. We have bylaw number 1990, indemnification for adoption. Moved by Councillor Patterson, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Any comments or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And any opposed? That carries unanimously. Next up is a report from Ms. Chandran again, recommending first and second readings of bylaw 1991. So as is our practice, I'll look for a motion for first reading. Councillor Raven. Councillor Patterson seconds. No discussion. All those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. We'll look for second reading. Moved by Counselor Raven, seconded by Counselor Elliott. All right, questions, comments? Would anybody like Ms. Chandran to? Oh, actually, Mayor Attrell has a question.
Yeah, thanks. Interesting set of circumstances. So thanks for the report. I just wondered if in the discussion time when staff were working with the applicant, there was reference to the time and that they kind of got through things as our STR regulations or business bylaw requirements were coming into play. But the whole story of this started in about fall of 2023. So I just wondered, through the building permit process, like all of that, if it ever came up, it just, I think, depending on what others say around the table, I'm inclined to support to have this go forward. But I'm just curious, there was so much in the public news about what was happening with these regulations. I just wondered if that conversation came up at all with the applicant.
Ms. Chandran?
Thank you to Mayor Attrell. So I believe the question is specific to the principal residence in the specific case, or the STR regulations in general. I didn't quite understand, but if it is specific to the principal residence requirement in this case, I remember that the applicant and his family members had been actively involved in the STR engagement project in 2024. And at that point itself, this specific scenario was discussed, and staff recommendation was this will be addressed on a case-by-cases. This is a very unique case, and the likeliness of getting similar application from similarly located properties is very almost nil. So it presents a very unique case, and that's the reason for staff recommendation. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor Attrell?
No, the timelines still kind of confuse me in that, the STR changes were absolutely in play. And so what I took from the applicant is that there was a lack of awareness of what was going on. So I'll just take it at face value. Thanks.
I believe if I remember correctly, I think in the letter it did say that they were already renting them short-term before the regulations came through. Ms. Chandran?
Thank you to Acting Mayor Ray. You're very right. The applicants built this new principal building on the subdivided property in 2023. And at that point, the town didn't have a business license requirement for STRs, but the zoning requirements for STRs were already in place. So due to some reason, I believe it must be the lack of awareness at that point. They didn't realize that they must comply with the zoning requirements. And usually for anything like that, business license is the actual trigger. So in this case, since there was no licensing requirement, the applicants were not aware. So they had been operating 2 short-term rentals from this building, which was originally built as a single detached dwelling with a secondary suite. So basically 2 STR units. So now, because of the provincial requirements, they have to apply for a business license with the town, and they initiated this zoning bylaw to exempt the property from the principal residence requirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Attrell, anything further? Anybody else? I know it's not on the floor yet, but I had a question about the restrictive covenant. So it says that if it ceases to be their principal residence, but the covenant is only going to be if the property changes hand. Is that correct? Like there's no triggering it if life situations change and they move out, but then rent the residence while they still own it?
Thank you to Acting Mayor Ray. So we haven't finalized the exact wording in the covenant, but in essence, it would be, the expectation is that currently the property owner, the operator, the property owner who is also the owner of 2544th Street. As soon as he resides at 2544th Street, this property, 2534th Street, can be exempt from the principal residence requirement. But at any point, if the operator ceases to be the principal resident at 2540, then it will no longer be exempt. But if that property is sold to another person, then they may legally operate an STR without any covenant as permitted by the zoning bylaw. Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions? All right, call the question on second reading. All those in favor? And any opposed? That's carried unanimously. So there is a third recommendation regarding the restrictive covenant. Somebody want to move that? Councillor Patterson moves, Councillor Buckham seconds. Any further questions or discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. All right. So we got there a little more quickly. Is Mr. Payne, is he on the line already or? Okay. Mr. Payne, we're just, thank you for joining us. We'll just get you to test your mic and make sure we can hear you
Yep, good
and that
evening.
you can hear us.
Good evening, Acting Mayor.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you. So first up, we have a report from Mr. Payne recommending for second and third readings of the 5-year financial plan. First off, we'll start off with first reading. Councillor Raven, Councillor Buckham. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Next up, second reading. Councillor Raven, Councillor Buckham. At this time, I'll see if Mr. Payne wants to introduce it all. We've been through the process, but if there's anything you would like to add.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only thing I would add is there was some slight changes from the last version of the financial plan that the committee saw. The one change you should be aware of is that there was an additional $48,700 in non-market change revenues available. So staff elected to transfer that to reserve, to capital reserves, and that maintained the tax increase that the committee had directed. So the town at any time can amend the financial plan bylaw if you wanted to change that. However, we just needed to make a decision before the preparation of the bylaw, and that's what we did. Thank you.
All right, does anybody have any comments on that change or any questions for Mr. Payne? I'll just chime in. I support that change. I don't think 47,000 would just move it a couple of hundredths of a percent. So I'm okay with that. All right, all those in favor of second reading? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Third reading? Councillor Raven, Councillor Buckham. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. All right, so next up is the report regarding bylaw 1993, which is 2025 property tax rates. I'll look for motion for first reading. Councillor Buckham, Councillor Elliott, all those in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Second reading, Councillor Elliott, Councillor Patterson. Mr. Payne, did you want to make any comment about that? This one, I mean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only comment I'll make is that this year we followed the practice of passing along uniform tax increases to all classes, absent of any other council direction. That's the normal course of action. There is one regulation that requires us to create a ceiling on the class 2 ratio. So we did create that ceiling, but it didn't create too much uniformity among the other tax classes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any questions for Mr. Payne or any comments? Just thanks for continuing that work from last year. I recall in years past several very painful conversations about how we were going to allocate things, and I think we've hit on a fairly sweet spot. So thanks for that, staff. All right, so we're on second reading. All those in favor of second reading? That carries unanimously. Third reading. Councillor Elliott and Councillor Raven. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is also carried unanimously. All right. Correspondence A for action. We have a letter from the Ministry of Forests requesting the council provides direction on how the town of Smithers wishes to receive updates concerning the Bulkley Maurice Forest Landscape Plan. I'll open it up to the floor. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ray. I actually liked all three, and that I was trying to understand how we could encourage public input. But if I had to pick one or the other, I thought that the regional district of Bulkley and Chaco would be more inclusive. But I also like their suggestion to do the stakeholder review as well. So if it's possible to do both, I would support both.
Okay, well, I'm going to state my preference. My preference would be for a stakeholder review and input group. It apparently worked quite well in the Lakes District for their timber supply area. I think part of the problem with it going to the RD is it doesn't concern everybody at the table. Oh, and I see Mayor Attrell has her hand up, so I'll let her comment first before I blather on.
Thanks. I'll be quick. I actually liked all three. The reason I don't mind seeing it at the RD table, in part because I get informed there, but also I appreciate at that table seeing things from all sides of the regional district. And we have been getting a lot of information on the work being done at the eastern end. So I like seeing stuff from this end as well. So I think it gives a good basis of information to the regional directors who are covering a large geographic area. So I like that. But I also think the stakeholder review and perhaps written reports, and I wouldn't need to be too prescriptive about that, but if there's a timeline that makes sense for the people working to provide those reports for us to go through, I think is good. And so if it's not too onerous, I actually like all three of them. Thank you.
Councillor Raven.
I actually liked all three as well. And the reason for that is it kind of hits all of the things where if we pick just one, then we're only tapping into one bucket, where I like how this kind of evens it out and really gets that broad perspective. So I would support all three.
It's funny, I read that as a choice between the three. My preference would be, if we're okay with all three, to say that and this is just me, but I think that the middle bullet point should be our number one, and we can receive backup from number two. Number two and backup from the other two. Because I go to the RD for Mayor Attrell. Mayor Attrell reports things back to us, but not everything that happens at that table gets reported back. I know I don't, unless I really feel it's something, and then it's kind of up to an editorial from our representative. And it would be as well in the stakeholder review group, but if there is a councillor or two or the mayor on that board, then when there are decision points, then that person can bring it back to all of council. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ray. I just wanted to say that I would support you. And number two, I would also suspect that when they talk about who would they constitute as being a stakeholder, I would suspect that the regional district would be included in that conversation as well.
Does anybody want to make a motion? I can try, but I don't do very well at the best of times, and I'm trying to chair too. Mayor Attrell.
Sure, I can take a crack at it. I would move that we respond, thanking them for their letter and saying we would like to take advantage of the opportunities. And if there has to be a priority among the three, that we prioritize number two, but that we prefer all three. How's that, Ms. McKinley, for something really wordy?
I think I got the gist of that. Thank you.
We could also simplify and make it that we authorize the mayor to answer the letter. If you think you have that motion, Ms. McKinley, we'll go on that one. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Patterson seconds. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? That's carried unanimously. I have to recuse myself from the next one as I own shares in the parent company of PNG. I will turn the chair over to Councillor Bukema.
Okay, so item 17.2, an offer from PNG to meet with council regarding the revenue requirements application for the Pacific Northern Gas West. Now, I understand there's also the opportunity to write them a letter where we express concerns about rate increases, but today was the due date for, is that correct?
Thank you very much, Chair Bukema. Yes, that is correct. However, I'm confident that staff would be able to provide that letter to them after the due date.
Okay. Okay. Anyone? Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Councillor Bukema. So I'll confess I had more questions than answers when I went down the rabbit hole of researching where we're currently at in this review process, including whether or not our region or even what regional boundaries Pacific Northern Gas uses. I found a number of communities that were specifically mentioned. But again, it was really difficult for me to determine if we were going to be directly impacted. Whether or not our community is directly impacted, I think that it's important that rural communities stick together. And for me, I guess my primary concern was that we were only receiving notification of this process prior to a deadline. And again, I wasn't super clear on the process, so I would like to see Pacific Northern Gas come and engage with council just to provide a bit of clarity on the process itself. And then again, I feel guilty sort of saying I don't fully understand what's being proposed here, but initially I feel quite angry, suggesting that rural communities who consistently get sort of unfair treatment or rates are once again seeing such. I know I can speak personally that my gas bill is almost $200 a month. I cannot imagine anyone paying, again, I was very unclear on the percentages that were provided. They seemed to not add up, but upwards of 80 to 100% increases is just astounding to me. So again, maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but I would like to get a significant amount of information from Pacific Northern Gas. And I also have a motion prepared to say that I would like to write to the British Columbia Utilities Commission and CC some others, but I'd like to hear from others before I do so. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Patterson. Councillor Raven.
So yeah, when I was reading this, the timeline seemed very, very tight. This seems like something that could have been brought to our attention sooner. And then the rate increases are quite shocking, and especially since they have the word approximately in front of them, it can be more. I would like to invite them to do a delegation to council. I think it'd be really good to get information. I'm not too comfortable saying that I want to send a letter stating any intent until I know more information, but I would like to invite them to do a delegation.
Are you making that a motion?
No, I'm just like, I would support, but I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say.
Okay. Counselor Leonard.
I would definitely support inviting them to council to speak with us and engage on this topic. And yeah, the proposed rates are mind-boggling, quite honestly. So it would be interesting to hear, maybe have a deeper dive with them in what those cost escalations really mean for them and why they're coming to the public with these rate increases.
Thanks, Counselor Leonard. Mayor Attrell.
Thanks, Councillor Buikema. I concur with those who are saying, having some face-to-face with representatives of PNG makes sense. I would support writing a letter, even though today was the deadline, just to, the state. I mean, I'd be happy to say those rates are too high without any sort of outreach. And if that happened, I missed it. These letters have gone to local governments across the region, letting people know what's coming with that tight deadline. So we could discuss the actual rates, but in lieu of that, I would suggest 20 and 28% are too high, and that the BCUC shouldn't consider that until there's been proper engagement or explanation. And it's a little bit, it's just, there's an irony there in saying that the consumer won't notice this because they've just had a rollback in another tax. Like, I think the intention there was to actually give people a little bit of a break on something. So to scoop that up immediately just sort of rubs raw a little bit. So I can see people want to hear each other, but I'd be supportive of both of those, getting the delegation to the table and writing a letter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Attrell and Counselor Elliott.
Thank you, Chair Buikema. I'll follow up with what the mayor just said too. That's what I read in between the lines there is that cool. There was the carbon tax is gone now was up the rates. So I don't think that's necessarily fair, but so I would be in favor of meeting with them at the table here. Counselor Raven.
So I would like to move that we respond with a letter expressing our concerns with the proposed increases and the timelines and invite a delegation to council.
Is there a seconder? Counselor Leonard. Any more discussion? Counselor Patterson. Sorry. I'll get you next, Mayor Attrell. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Buikema. Just a question through to staff. Because of the process of a delegation, so Pacific Northern Gas will come and just give us information and we can ask questions. Just given their timelines that they're proposing, and again, I'm treading lightly because I can't ask you for advice, but I'm just curious if it would make sense to have somebody from the Utilities Commission be included as part of that delegation or separate to. I'm just trying to understand how you get the best out of the conversation given where they're at in the process, I guess. Thank you.
We can certainly request that the BCUC come and provide council a delegation, whether that be a co-delegation with PNG, which we would ask for them to arrange. Offhandedly and likely, unfortunately, I don't believe that they would be able to provide a joint delegation to council. However, there may be the opportunity to have them come at separate but close enough meetings where the information will still be current and beneficial for council's decision-making purposes.
Thank you.
And Mayor Attrell.
Thanks, Chair Buikema. Yeah, a couple of things. I think the letter is to the BCUC. I'm not sure if Councillor Raven said that, but the comments from us would have to go to the BCUC, so that's where the letter should go. And yeah, we're just in a process. So I think having representatives from PNG talk to us about their plans or why they need the money is one piece, but registering concerns does go to BCUC, and on the site, the link from this letter takes you to the review process of what's going on. So there is still a timeline where the BCUC will review this rate application. So if that's helpful at all, thank you.
Anyone else? So we've got a two-part motion on the floor, and I think the assumption is that staff will be writing that letter and trying to get it out tomorrow. Is that correct? Or even tonight? Yeah.
We'll
tomorrow.
certainly be making the attempt to, we'll certainly be working to have that out by tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to call for the question. All in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thanks, everyone, and I will get Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Councillor Beekema. Next up, we have the B correspondence for information. Anybody wanted to pull any out, just shout out a number. Councillor Raven.
18.2.
Okay, everybody. So we'll go to 18.2. Councillor Raven.
I just wanted to highlight this. These are a couple programs that have been around for a bit, and the requirements have, it's been made more accessible. And I know I have helped a lot of people apply for these programs, and they're not very well known. So it's just something for us to think about when we're talking to people is it's an underutilized assistance program. So just something for us and for anyone that might be listening online to look up the RAP and SAFER program. It could be really helpful.
I'm just going to bring 18.5. I think it's a good community event to recognize Mining Month, and just want to say thanks for the sponsorship, and free swimming is always cool. All right. Any late items? No, there were no late items. So I'm going to move that we recess the regular meeting so we can go in camera. All those in favor of recess? Oh, sorry, a seconder, Councillor Raven, and everybody is in favor. We'll come back at 25 after 7 for in camera.